Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on cultureA. Today, I'm honored to have a very familiar voice with us back again, Sanaa Ahmed. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are
A
you?
little nervous today. I hope people listen, but excited to be back. Super excited to be
I'm very happy to have you back, Sanaa. And for those of you who don't remember Sanaa or haven't heard your previous episodes, Sanaa actually joined us to share her very inspiring journey transitioning from Pakistan to the Middle East. And today she's come in and she's wearing her hat as the talent acquisition director for L'Oreal for Middle East and North Africa, with a very big passion for cultivating engaging work cultures and a proven track record in shaping employer branding. She's here to give us an in-depth perspective on L'Oreal's talent strategies. It's really so nice to have you back.
Thank you. I was telling you in the morning that, my own family saying, but why does she want you back?
No, of course, I'd be happy to have you back.
I hope it's a good conversation today. I'm excited.
I'm sure it will be. Okay, so the purpose behind today's conversation, the first time I spoke with you, it was very much about your own experience and how you felt coming into the Middle East. Now you've been here for a little bit of time, you've settled in, and you have probably been hit in the face in a good way with a lot of...
We can talk about it.
We'll talk about
unfiltered.
It. Yeah.
Unfiltered.
Exactly. Unfiltered on the Middle East and what it's like to drive TA here. I know it's super complex. I know. So let's jump into it. Okay. Just for those who maybe didn't catch our last episode, can you give them like an idea of how you became the TA director for MENA for L'Oreal?
How? They're still asking. How did we give this to you? No, I'm just joking. Well, I come with a range of expertise from employer branding. I started my career as a marketeer. I went into employer branding. Then I went into people partnering as an HR business partner. I then went to Africa, did a bit of consulting. And then when I returned to my home country around 2015, I joined L'Oreal. Again, as a generalist, worked up the ranks. Slowly and steadily became the learning and development manager for GCC and Saudi. Went back to my country as an HR director for our Pakistan subsidiary. And then came the time to decide what do I want to do next. And in L'Oreal, I felt that a very deep talent acquisition stint would be required to equip myself with the right skill set to become a boss lady or a HRD of a bigger country. And that's what drove my ambition for talent acquisition. And luckily, the role was on offer in the GCC. I know the region. I'd been here before. It's Dubai. It's very easy to live in. It's a great place for your son to grow, for me, at least. So I decided to hop on board on this journey, and now I look at 6 markets for talent acquisition, all the way from Morocco, coming into Egypt, Lebanon, Saudi, GCC, and of course, Pakistan.
Okay, so definitely not easy markets.
But really not easy markets, but primarily because the talent is very passionate. And I think what I love about these markets is that if beauty is about being comfortable in your own skin, it is this region that truly showcases what comfort in skin is. They're honest, they're hungry, they're focused, they have big ambitions, big dreams, they're doers. So it's a region with very high capability. So it makes our job very tough because the opportunity set is limited, but the talent potential is very high. So it's really fun to recruit here. Very stressful, but very fun.
You said it really well. You said it really well. And very diplomatically. I like that a lot. Okay, let's talk about the countries that you've just mentioned. Okay, each one of those countries, as you were kind of naming them, I just thought to myself, okay, I know the nuances of that one. I know the nuances of that one. I know the complexities of that one. They each come with their own set of nuances. Okay, so, and that adds a further challenge to the challenge of talent acquisition in general. Okay, trying to job match and trying to find the best culture fit and, training and, all of that stuff, diversity, everything that falls into TA. So when it comes to building out a TA strategy that is scalable for the region, given all of these nuances in each of the countries, what would you say are probably the top 3 tips that you would provide listeners to help drive their strategies in the right direction?
I think the first will be to know the markets. We're lucky with our structure because while we do have a centralized expertise on talent acquisition, we still heavily rely on talent teams based in the country because the Egyptian market will be different from Pakistan versus Lebanon versus GCC. And it's very important to be on ground to know who exists there, what is the talent like, who's in demand, what capabilities are growing, how is business growing. Talent acquisition is so closely related to business acceleration, business growth, that if you do not know the business of that country, you will start losing out on talent. You will start losing out on capability because you have to go beyond the basic fit to say you have I work for L'Oreal, so I will recruit from, say, the same industry. No, talent can come from anywhere. It could come from Amazon, it could come from pharmaceuticals. L'Oreal hires across multi-industries.
Right.
So I think on-ground knowledge is very, very key. And we're lucky because our structure kind of supports on-ground realities as well. That will be my first tip, that you need to be one with the market, and you need to be one with the understanding of the business and its priorities in that market. So in some places it's a e-com acceleration, but in others offline acceleration might be more important. Advocacy and digital is very, very important in some markets today, actually in most of ours, and for others data-driven decisions are taking a more mature equation versus some markets which are still in their infancy, right? So it's very, very important for you to know the business and then know the talents working in that market. So market proximity is very key. And I have a star team to help me with that piece. I thank God for the people in Morocco and Egypt and Lebanon and Pakistan. And of course, we're here in GCC directly. That would be one. I think the bane of talent existence, you would know, is that everybody wants you to pipeline.
Yeah.
You need to know, even before the role comes, you need to know 10 people who can do the job. I have not been able to crack this piece, but I have been advised on pipelines. We're trying to look at it from the perspective of that every opportunity that comes through, we should be able to find the best fit for the role, but we should also be able to maintain a relationship with the candidates who are good for the role, but not necessarily the best today.
Right.
So I think candidate relationing is very, very important too, because in my own experience, I've made this mistake that, that I will speak to the best one and we'll go ahead with it, but I have not given feedback to the others to explain to them why or why not. And I think they deserve that, A. B, it kind of helps us open a friendship or a camaraderie in a way that tomorrow, if we have an alternative role where this talent could fit, we're able to kind of close positions very quickly as a consequence. So I think talent relationing is very, very important. And I always say this to the candidate, they will know if they've met me, that interviews are not just for me to assess you as a fit for L'Oreal, it's also for you to assess L'Oreal.
100%.
And I think that is very important too, because sometimes you might not find the right role for a person. Maybe this is not the opportunity, but there are 100 other opportunities at L'Oreal. So it's very important to give the right understanding of our culture, of any company's culture, of our ambition, of our business, or the kind of people that you will be working with, so that within that narrow 45 to 60 minute video, the candidate takes something out of it in a way that tomorrow, if there is another role they're interested in applying, if they didn't get this one, they're still able to connect with you. So I think that openness is very, very key at L'Oreal. I mean, I'm only going to speak about L'Oreal, but we really do appreciate our candidates getting in touch with us because we are humans. And sometimes we forget. I forget all the time, but I love candidates who come back to me and say that, Sanaa, you'd spoken to me and you'd said not this role, but here are 2 other roles that have just opened. Can we connect on this? I love that. And I think that's the perfect stage where I want to operate, that talent is able to approach us with their interest. We are able to approach alternative talents, and we know the business needs well, so we're able to project for future needs, future capability, and know what's available in the market. And I think that's the baseline of talent acquisition. You need to have a very realistic understanding of the market, because you can't ask for apples when we're growing oranges.
Okay. that there's so much to unpack in what you just what you just said.
Oh my God, because that's the summary of my year.
There is so much to unpack. Okay, pipelining, the ideal state. I completely understand what you're saying. I don't, to be honest with you, really honest with you, and I've been based here for 27 years. I've worked in these markets for 17 years. I haven't seen a company that's been able to nail the pipelining piece. Not in a way that there's such a structured approach to it that it's never fail, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a really, really hard one. Understanding the market, knowing the behavior of the candidates in the market, 100% so key.
Yeah.
And as you said, if your business allows you to create a structure or create a function where you have individuals based on ground who understand it better than you, then by all means build it that way, because you're going to get the best insights.
Yeah.
And on what you mentioned about candidates reaching out to you, this is something that actually came up in. I was recording a podcast episode yesterday, and candidate experience came up, and I was saying, not only does it, if you give them a great experience and a great touch point, not only do people come back to you when they see another role advertised, or if you give them feedback, but I've also been in a position where they contact me for someone else, like they refer people,
Yeah.
And they're like, I saw this, I know they'd be good, I know I wasn't good for it, but blah, blah, blah. And that we're very much living in a region where it's built on like a relationship culture. So it's very much connection based. And the minute that you establish that with people in a professional setting, in a personal setting, it helps to open so many doors. So
Yeah.
the fact that you're able to highlight that already is incredible.
I'm glad. I hope my boss is listening. That I'm gaining momentum, but no, I think this, and like I said, the nuance, one of the, I don't know how to pronounce this word.
Nuance?
Nuance, like, of the region is that one is that we live on relationships, and this region is built on communities.
Yeah.
And I think even the talent communities are so generous. Like, that if you're able to build that honest connection with them, you're sorted. Like, so I really try. But like I said, for me, a key requirement that I think my team and I continuously work on in any of these markets is not to project something which is ideal of L'Oreal. We really try to make sure that we are real.
Yeah.
Like, because this is who we are, and we're not perfect. We're really, really good. It's true. But we're not perfect, right?
And
like,
the reality of what you just said, all of that, building that up for TA is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do. And we can sit here and talk about the ideal state and how great it is. But the reality is it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of engagement, a lot of research, a lot of data to be able to structure anything.
True, and a lot of honesty to be able to tell a candidate that this role will have this challenge. This is where we are on our journey. These are the stakeholders you'll be working with. This is what still needs a solution. This is where we have strengths. So what I genuinely value about the group, before I even came into talent acquisition, was the honesty and integrity with which we work, and the transparency that we have on feedback. And I think the talent acquisition role has given me the green light to share a piece of that culture with the talent communities as well, sometimes regarded very positively and sometimes not, like, but it is who L'Oreal is. And like I said, I'm a proud ambassador. And I link it to the fact that you asked me that what made me interested in the TA role. It's my love for L'Oreal, honestly speaking. I'm a fanatic of sorts, like, in terms of that I work for a great company and I have that kind of passion, and I'm lucky that I get to work in a company that is very close to my value system. And it's fun on the inside, but it's an honor to share it with people who are not a part of that. Like, so this is my most favorite part of talent acquisition. The one where I miss is that, I get to work with more external people than internal people, of course, like, but I think the biggest honor that I have is to give for my team and myself, I'm not doing this alone, is to give a little window into life at L'Oreal very honestly to the talents in MENA. Like, and I really enjoy that. And I take that responsibility very, very seriously, along with my team, along with our hiring managers, to make sure that candidates understand what they're signing up for. It's a company with very high ambitions, a lot of innovation, a lot of entrepreneurship, a lot of freedom, and you have to do right by it. And I'll link it also to a good practice that we have. For example, not just for talent acquisition managers, but even all our hiring managers can only recruit once they have a license to hire. Because for us,
they're trained.
They're trained to give, and not because to say that, okay, you need to say this, this, and this. We have no set of standard questions or any kind of testing. That's not who we are. But they're trained to say that your candidate is important and you need to manage their experience because they've given you their time. So candidate experience is very important for us. How to ask a question which helps you get to the right answer, as opposed to which focuses on the experience of the person as opposed to where it's coming from, etc. But it's very important to be able to respect a candidate in a way that you're able to give them the right window into L'Oreal's culture, and also be able to ask them fair questions that give you an insight into their capability to match the job descriptions, and not just do random evaluations on who they are as people, because that's not our job. So and
it's not going to help L'Oreal at the end of the day. Like, if you're looking at retention, you might get people through the door that way, but you're not going to keep them.
True, and that's the biggest challenge. So I think one of the great things that we've done is that all of us are actively training, retraining. I look at the training almost every 3 months just to remember that, am I missing something that I can do better in order to service the market? So I think this is very, very key, and definitely a unique thing that I've seen at L'Oreal.
And can I ask you, in terms of attraction strategies, maybe without going in, don't give me anything you can't give me, but attraction strategies.
I can't give you anything.
You can't give me anything. No. The podcast is over. No, if you look at attraction strategies, right? Honesty, you're saying transparency, honesty, just being candid about what the culture's like. How do you implement that in your attraction strategy? How do you market that externally?
Okay, I'm going to give you the example from my home market, Pakistan, because it's in the past, but I'll explain this to you. It's a good example. So when I became the human resource director for L'Oreal Pakistan, I told my team that we will not be hiring any digital agency to manage our employee branding projects. Not because the agency wouldn't do a great job, but the agency will do a great job at it. But is it true? Is it who we are every day, or is it curated? It's the level where we need to achieve, and this is what we want to show our candidates. So I told them, simple, khalas, finish. We will put in what we have done. So if it's happening live, shoot it, show it. If we will only show the reality of what we're achieving as opposed to what we want to achieve. And as a consequence of it, on our Insta handles in most of the countries, if you see, and I think the strategy is very common across in MENA, that you see life at L'Oreal for what it is. It's happening. It's live. It's who we are. It's what we're doing every day. So as a result of it, one of our key attraction strategies is to show our everyday as is, as opposed to curate what it could be like or what it should be like. So I think that gives people a very realistic understanding of L'Oreal, and you can quiz talents in the market to say that, do you know what the company is like, and they'll be able to kind of validate. I think the second piece is we're always on campus. We are always ensuring that our business is connected with talents as well, and that is also very, very important, because at the end of the day, people come to work for the challenges, the opportunity to grow. So we have to be very honest about the opportunities at work, on our challenges, on what's going to excite you to do this role and then the next role, etc., etc. So I think our business interviews, our leadership interviews are very, very key, because we lay it out for them, and I think that really attracts good talent, because good talent wants to work it's Maslow's basic hierarchy, that you want to work in a company where you belong, where you feel you can be comfortable in your own skin, where you are challenged enough to want to achieve, to be excited about your everyday, but you have a team available to you who's going to help you grow, and in case you fail, they'll catch you. I mean, that's about it. At the very basic of what talents want is this. So we have a big responsibility as the HR team of L'Oreal to create that kind of culture. And then we have a big responsibility to be honest about the great things at L'Oreal, but also where we are evolving, we are growing. And I think we are very vocal, visible about these things as well. And that really helps.
Sana, I'm going to give you this purely my perspective. When I hear L'Oreal as a brand, I think of something that's super solid. Like as a brand, it's super solid. That's all I can really say in terms of how do I feel about this as an organization. And to be honest with you, I think that's a really, really good thing.
Yeah, I was about to say thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good thing. It's very hard to cultivate a good perception in the market. It's so easy to have a negative impression of an organization, whether from their past employees, current employees, initiatives, beliefs, whatever it might be that might leak out into the market can really alter a person's perception on the brand and what it's like to work there, the internal culture. I don't have any of that perception, and I'm very far removed from L'Oreal. I have no affiliation, no involvement. I don't know anyone apart from you that's working there. So my perception isn't influenced by anything. But it's very, very solid. And for me, I just feel like it's one of those organizations you can enter and as yourself, stay in and grow in and learn in and kind of just, you can have this evolution of your career in. And I feel that way when I'm so far removed. So coming to my question, because I was going to ask you this later on. I wanted to touch on the point of personalization in TA, of getting that connected feeling to the brand, feeling as an external party, like it's something you want to be a part of. So I want to understand from a candidate perspective, how do you ensure that,
that candidate proximity that they
yes,
understand?
how do you build that connection?
I think it's the magic of talent acquisition teams at start, because I'm just one of the many at L'Oreal, and I think their first connection with us, and like I said, the freedom to go beyond and the freedom to be ourselves in the interview, even when we are assessing the candidate. Like I said, we have been told that the candidate is also assessing us. So the freedom to be ourselves, I think, is the first place where they say, okay, this is a L'Oreal person and this is how they behave. So that's your first window. Whether you like it or not, they're assessing you as well. Then the hiring manager interview is very key. And then we always have a stakeholder interview and an N+2 interview. We try to make sure there are 3 rounds of interviews, but there are many, many attendees within the landscape of it. But the reason is not because we just want to evaluate the right fit. It's also to give the candidate a window into who we are, and they're seeing it from the perspective of the team that is in charge of building talent, bringing them in. It's our job to make them happy, to give them that knowledge. But when they meet the hiring lines, when they meet the stakeholders, when they meet the business leaders, when they meet the HR business partners, they're able to kind of see that either it's all going to be similar, and that's great, or they're able to, if they see the discrepancy, they'd know, and I think the joyous part of L'Oreal is that L'Oreal talents are generally known to be eager, to want to innovate, to want space to grow and to do things, because beauty, and it comes from the fact that we all love beauty and we want to create beauty that moves the world. That means that we're all very passionate about doing things our way, and beauty is changing form, shape and size as you grow from one year to another, as you grow from one role to another in your life, etc. I think that the continuum or the similarity in the recruitment process itself is the window for the candidate, right?
100%.
And of course, on a more operational part, staying in touch with the candidate post the recruitment process, even if they didn't get the job, is also very key, because it still continues to give you an understanding of what's happening at L'Oreal, because when they start following you on Instagram, or we become friends on LinkedIn, or we send them our newsletters or whatever, they start learning, and they start understanding, and I hope
they start to build a stake.
I hope they start building their own space at L'Oreal in their head, to say that one day, if not today, and there are lots of successes as well, but for those who don't make it, that one day I hope that they think that that I'll be here one day, and I want to be here one day, because that I think is the ultimate test of TA. The ability to build a community of talents who can work for L'Oreal at some point in time. And that's very important to me personally, because I'd want to share this amazing journey with so many people. I wish we had more headcounts.
Talent to hire.
Oh my
Start
God,
hiring.
I've spoken like a true HR person.
Yeah.
You might need to edit.
No, it's okay. I like it raw and unfiltered. Okay. Right now, we're operating, we at TA is what I mean. We're operating in a very, very different world than we were in 2020, 2021, 2020. Yeah. Can you tell me how the pandemic has influenced your approach to TA?
By miles and eons, I don't remember. I don't remember TA prior to the pandemic. I think for starters, it has enabled us to access so many more candidates because we are meeting talents online, and which is now the norm as opposed to a one-off situation. So we get to meet talents from across the region. We reach out to more people, etc. And I think that's really powerful. That the pandemic brought in digital connectivity, which was great in order to kind of culminate or connect bigger talent communities. And I think that's really helped TA. I also feel that as a consequence of the pandemic, we become a lot more efficient in the way we operate, because coming to an interview in person, coordinating the times for everybody, locking meeting rooms, the bane of my existence.
I know.
So there is never a meeting room somehow or the other, no matter how big our offices are. So I think all of this is kind of finished. So that's great. I also personally, as a working mother, and I think in my last podcast, I had told the viewers and you that I'm a happily married single mother in Dubai. I like the flexibility it gives to me to meet talents at my own time, and same for them. Sometimes they want to connect at 6 and I'm very happy. Sometimes they want to connect as early as 8 and I'm glad, because and it works for me as well. So I think the flexibility that it's given to both the talent acquisition teams as well as talents particularly to choose slots is phenomenal, because honestly speaking, coordinating a drive to an office, etc., is a lot of work, right? And last but not the least, confidentiality. We, like I told you, this entire community of MENA is built of talents that are very pro community. So we always know someone through another one who knows somebody who knows somebody. So there's always that 7 degrees of separation.
Right.
But is it 7 or 6? I forget. But
I think it's 6.
It's 6 or 7?
I think it's 6.
6 degrees of separation. But I think it's allowed us to be more confidential as well, because when we are having conversations, the reality of the situation is that not many people want to know, because they're looking for better opportunities or next challenges, but they also don't want to upset their current employer. So it gives us that space to kind of maintain confidentiality. So I think bigger pools, confidential, more efficient, higher flexibility. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Some candidates still like the in-person connect, and we do that right at the end, etc. But it makes us overall efficient. I'm very happy.
Look, I agree with you, honestly. I agree with you. I've gone back and forth with people about this so much, okay? There are so many employers that prefer to kind of go back to how things were pre-pandemic, where it was very much office-based, in-person connections. They feel collaboration stronger that way. There's always the other side to the coin, where people don't have like the family tying them down, or that they don't need that flexibility as much, and so they prefer to be in person in the office with that camaraderie of their peers. I'm aligned with you because
I like the forewarning. Okay, but tell me. Huh?
No, I'm aligned with you. But I what I'm interested to know is, because there's this change in how we operate, there's also very much a change in what job seekers want from an organization. It comes hand in hand. How has L'Oreal, or how would you say maybe you yourself, when leading your team, when leading the function, how have you adopted the expectations of the candidates and made sure that you've implemented them so that you can use them as in your discussions, I was going to say, as selling techniques, you don't need to sell, but as in your discussions externally, to tell them why L'Oreal's the right place for them or why they're great for L'Oreal?
That's a very good question, by the way, and makes me think how much of my own experience should I share, because I might get into trouble with Michael, Agnes, or my bosses,
Sorry.
But
I'm sorry.
I think for starters, L'Oreal, for my age, particular, and I'll speak more about me.
Yes, go ahead.
And then
Go for it.
certain candidate experiences as well. I'm a digital native. I'm a young millennial. At the end of the day, I feel no difference in connecting with a person over Teams or in person, because I'm always on my phone.
Yeah.
I prefer calling somebody gives me anxiety. Texting somebody, I'm fine with. So if somebody calls me, they say, but you never pick up your phone. And I'm like, yeah, because you could just WhatsApp.
Thank you for picking up my phone call.
Because I'm so comfortable in typing, and that's the reality of some of the generations now too. So I think the younger ones don't feel it that much. I think so if you're a little bit more senior, or you've seen the pre and post, there is a good comparison available. 2 or 3 things. First is that if a candidate requests for an in-person interview, for sure it's our job.
Right.
So we will accommodate all requests. This is, I'm not saying that it's set in stone. You prefer meeting in person, that's all right, that's great. From my angle, I always explain to the candidates that I do not want a variation in the experience. Because I would not want the candidate to deduce that if I meet in person, I might get through to the next round or whatever, or I might get selected, versus somebody who was meeting online, or it's the other way around, etc. So we try to make sure it's universal. But if a candidate has a request to say that I prefer meeting in person, or I prefer doing this outside in a coffee shop, Dubai has that culture of people wanting to meet over coffees, etc. I'm very happy to oblige, and that's fine, because I want to know you for you, and I want you to be. Beauty is all about comfort in your skin, and that's a truly a value and an attribute that L'Oreal hires for. Your ability to be confident and comfortable in who you are. You don't need to be somebody else, So whoever you are and whatever your quirks are, welcome. Welcome to L'Oreal. My quirks, and I was about to say that I might get into trouble. I love meeting candidates over breakfast online.
Online.
So many people, I think every day somebody sees me have breakfast with them. On Fridays, they sometimes might see me in my pajamas also, because I'm like, it's Friday.
It's Friday. It's okay.
It's Friday. And back in Pakistan, I remember I met this candidate 2 times over, and both times somehow or the other, it was the pandemic, it was COVID. So you see, we were looking the way we do in a pandemic.
Right.
And he said to me, nice new night suit.
I can't tell you. I cannot.
If you're watching, thank you. And I remember slapping myself to reality to say either get more professional looking night suits, single colored, or but we bring ourselves to an interview, whether it's online or offline, and that's what I try to coach my teams on. That you be honest, you be you. The medium wouldn't matter, but if the medium matters to a candidate particularly, I understand that, and it is my job. It is literally my job to respect that and accommodate for that. For sure, 110%.
Yeah.
So no problems. Just ask. Just ask. We will do it the way you want to.
Listen, it's so funny because I can't tell you. I mean, I'm not going to get myself in trouble, but I can't tell you the number of calls I have been on, because during COVID particularly, we were work from home for a very long time. I actually started working from home prior to COVID. So it's, for me, been something for years. I can't tell you the number of calls I've taken where I'm like, business at the top, and and like at home at the bottom. I'm wearing my comfy pants, or I'm wearing my socks up to my knees. Like I'm chill, I'm relaxed. It also helps me to have a more relaxed conversation. That's just who I am. But I get it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, guilty as charged. But it's our job to accommodate people to be comfortable. They're giving us their time. It's the least we can do. So there are no quirks to it. I mean, I think online has really given access to L'Oreal to more talents, and more talents access to L'Oreal.
Yeah.
So I'll stay a big fan, but at the same time, If you want to meet for a coffee, or you want to meet at the office, many people like to see the office.
Yeah, of course.
That's the thing I've seen in the region, that they like to see your office, your place of work. So I think that's okay too. Like, so we accommodate for these requests. Like,
Okay. I have 2 more questions for you, and then we're done. Have I grilled you enough?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. Okay.
Get tough.
I will. I'm gonna get tough. I don't know if you can answer me, but I'm gonna get tough. Look, your passion for L'Oreal, it's clear.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is really clear.
I
It was
take
clear.
pride in it.
Yeah, it was really clear. The first episode we taped together, it's very clear now. I know how much you value where you're working, and it's clear they value you. Okay. What's the biggest challenge? You can take it as, what's the biggest challenge of working at L'Oreal? Or if you're very hesitant to answer that question, some people are, for you personally, what has been your biggest challenge?
In talent acquisition or generally?
Generally, in your stint, in your tenure within the HR world.
So that's another episode.
Okay. It's
Episode
been hard.
3. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 3. Challenges in Sanaa's life.
Yeah.
Like, there are many. Like, I think I'll answer personally as well as from talent acquisition's perspective.
Fine.
It's not a problem. I think from a talent acquisition perspective, I think it's the cost of capability. I think so. For us, there's a lot of effort that is done to get to the best talents for L'Oreal, and I think my challenge is why can't I hire all of them? Like, and I wish I had more engagement. I feel that from a TA perspective, the biggest challenge would be to create that pipeline where even if not today, we can hire you tomorrow. Like, and I don't think we've mastered that connect with candidates yet. So this is on the candidate side. Internally at L'Oreal, we are always growing. We are always changing things. We are always welcoming transformations that we don't need today.
Okay.
We need 5 years from now, 3 years from now. But true to L'Oreal, we will do them now. Like, so there's a lot of change management at play at L'Oreal, and that's why the learning curves are like steep throughout your 25, 30 years at L'Oreal. You don't need to do this. You want to do this. That's always the case. So I think the challenge comes from the fact that that there is always change is always tricky, and because we're continuously reinventing ourselves, continuously wanting to be better, continuously transforming. And that's the culture I love, because I'm an always on kind of a person. But of course, it comes at a challenge, because change is uncomfortable.
Right.
Change requires you to reinvent yourself. Change requires you to have resistance. Change requires you to be okay with disagreement. And I think that part, I'm still, I'm good at dealing with it, but I think for me, it's challenging in a way that, why is everybody not thinking like me? I like being right.
I like the honesty.
I like being right. But I think for me, like I said, a lot of the transformations that we are leading inside L'Oreal, secret, are transformations that we don't need today. We need them 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. We are investing in them today.
Yeah.
So there is always going to be that balance between operationally what do I need to do and strategically where I need to operate, right?
I get that.
So you go back and forth, like I said, on all the fronts, your own self, your stakeholders, the people who you're taking along with, your team, your bosses, and the freedom to do this kind of really entices you to get deeper and deeper into it, because the only question that our leadership asks if you give such ideas or such transformations, if you partake in them, is why not? Let's go. And we fail and we pick up and we go ahead, and we fail and we pick up and we go ahead. But I think that's how we retain our number one beauty position in the world.
That's how you drive innovation.
Because you're always on to something else, and that can be challenging at times too. Personally, I think now that's where I'm laughing at my own answer. I think it's the balance of life and work to be able. I have a big challenge in I'm learning with L'Oreal coaches on how to disconnect. I think many talents would have that issue too, that I'm always thinking, and
you're always thinking, or you're always available, or both?
I would like to be available always. So I get guilty if I'm not. But I'm always thinking and I'm always on. And it was great in my 20s. I agree. It was great in my 30s also. I'm 36 now. But at some point in time, I've realized that, that I need to be more selective with where I expend my energy because it's not helping.
Right.
It might be regressive for the entire system. Because... so I think the joys of disconnect to connect is something I'm learning, and I'm a big protagonist for it. Protagonist means support, right?
Protagonist, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, you stumped me with that one. I wasn't expecting that. Protagonist, yes, I think so.
If protagonist means I support it, I really, really, really support it. And in L'Oreal, I have, again, like I said, I love L'Oreal because I explained this to them that I need to learn. And as an HRD of a country, they said, you go girl, and teach us all along the way. So the concepts of disconnect to connect, to be able to integrate work and life together, to be available in the moment, as opposed to think about 20 other things, is continuously challenging, especially when you do TA, because whether you're at a wedding or you're in a cafe or you are with your husband having dinner, you might think of somebody right there to say, this is the person I want.
Yeah, or this is what I should have said to this leadership or this director.
So you're always on, right? So I think that would be it. I think I've shared too many of my challenges, so I think we should do an episode on this.
We will. As you said, episode 3, it works for me.
Therapy.
I don't mind. Okay. I don't know if I asked you this question in the last episode. I'm going to ask you. Okay. I like to ask everyone this. Your top piece of advice. Did I ask you this last time? Top piece of advice for HR professionals that are just starting out their career. That's one. And seasoned HR professionals. What would your top piece of advice be for either?
So for people who are starting out, I think learn the business and develop people proximity. HR services its employees. You need to understand your employees. You need to know them not just for what they are delivering in terms of their JDs, but who they are as people. What motivates them, what engages them, what are their hopes, ambitions, aspirations, because your job is to connect all of this long term with the company. So I would just say that spend a lot of time learning your business and what your business needs, understanding your people on how they can deliver. So because you are the bridge between both. So when you are capable of balancing this, you'll be the most strategic partner to any business leader to say, look, we want to do this, and here is what they want, and your job is to kind of culminate this strategy. So I would tell them, invest time in this. It's the most basic advice I would give, but I think it's largely ignored because we are so involved in HR processes, etc.
It's easy also to get wrapped up in the day-to-day versus looking at bigger picture.
And for seasoned professionals like myself, I like to call myself a seasoned I hope I am.
You are.
I hope I am. I'm not starting. I know, I'm just joking with you on this. I know. But I think I will give them advice that I'm giving to myself. I think the world is changing very fast and we need to be continuously evolving. Whether it's with AI, or whether it's with technology, whether it's with understanding that how talent expectations are changing.
Right.
We were kinder candidates, maybe. I love the fact that the new age generation is very demanding and rightly so. I love the change that they're bringing into the workplace, but you have to evolve also. So I think I am continuously investing time on understanding what does AI mean for HR? How can data centricity help us not just report numbers, but also use it in order to drive our strategy? How is the new talent thinking, the talent that is coming into the market? And of course, for me, I have self-learned that different phases in my life required my employer to give me different kinds of flexibility and that adaptability, right? So I have been, so as HR, you have to kind of also go along with the employee life cycle curve. So just because Sandra was able to give you her 100% support at the start of her career, and that is what we loved about her. 5 years from now, if Sandra is not able to do that today because she has 10 other things happening in her life, it's fine. So for you to be able to evolve your map your ambitions, your career plans for the talent with their journey is also very, very key. But I'm learning all of this, like, whether it's AI is used, whether it's data is used, whether it's new age generation expectations, or how the expectations of my peers or my leaders have changed as I move along L'Oreal as well. They're not the same people. We're changing every day.
Right.
So you have to keep up. Just because you knew somebody 5 years ago does not mean the assessment's going to stay the same today. You must keep up, like, but that's I can't give advice, but I'll tell you what I'm working on.
It's a good one because it's you touched on something that's so relevant. It's true. Things are changing. People are changing. People are different.
Yeah.
You have to be highly adaptable. And as you said, their demands, they are more demanding. This newer generation within the workforce are more demanding. But also what needs to be tweaked is your communication style and how you deliver a message, what you're delivering, how transparent you are, because they also want information quickly now.
Yeah, and a lot of closure, a lot of feedback, a lot of mentoring as opposed to boss management, and honestly speaking, a lot more flexibility. And like I said, I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'm a Gen Zer at heart, to be very honest.
Like
Do not hire me for this reason now, like, but
you've killed it for yourself.
You have to cut this part, like, cut this part. But no, I think talent expectations and technology, they are evolving at a faster pace. I remember attending a seminar where we said that change is the fastest we've known it yet, but it's at its slowest pace today versus tomorrow.
Right.
Like, so as a result of it, if we are not evolving and staying relevant, somebody else is going to come and be better than us. Like, 100%. So who's accountable? Us.
Yeah. I love it.
That's,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, that was a perfect way to end it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to come back a second time.
Thank you. I hope your viewers listen. And like I told you in the morning, that my husband said, are you sure they want to listen to you? Like, before you go and record another 40 minutes of your ramblings, like, So
No. Look, I'm sure people will take away so much value from what you've said, honestly.
I hope so.
Yeah. It's great. You
hit like, write in the comments.
Exactly. No, exactly. For everyone who's listening in, as I say every episode, please like, share, and subscribe to cultureA. If you have questions for Sanaa about her challenges,
yes, episode 3 in the making, huh?
Yeah, exactly. No, if you have any questions for her, for me, for anyone that's been on the show, please reach out, because we love to hear from you. We love to hear your feedback as well. Yeah. And stay tuned for the next one, I guess.
All the best.
With
Thank
Sanaa,
you
I think
so
so.
much.
Maybe not. Thank you so much, Sanaa.
Thank you. Done?
Done.